Hello and welcome to DEJI360. I am Deji Bademosi. If you are in Nigeria, or at least wherever you are in the world, you must have heard the story of Nigeria this week. As a matter of fact, we've had an eventful week, and if you're in doubt or you're still thinking about what I mean, then take your mind to Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, where 5 lawmakers out of 32 came together to impeach the Speaker of the State House of Assembly. Now, the Constitution says it requires 2/3 of members to impeach a sitting speaker. But then what happened in Rivers State? 5 lawmakers got together and removed the Speaker of the State House of Assembly. At least that's what they said, even though the Speaker himself says that event did not take place at all. And you know what? Well, it may not be constitutional, but in Nigeria sometimes what is constitutional doesn't usually apply. And besides, our politicians are good at this game of twisting the Constitution. Now, you must also remember that the image you saw this week, that image of that huge fight on the floor of the House, and some members actually got seriously injured. Well, the issue has attracted a lot of reaction, and one of the reactions, I should say, is coming from Nobel Laureate Professor Wole Soyinka, who spared no words at all in criticizing the presidency, saying the presidency is partly or hugely to blame for this crisis. Take a listen to what he said.
His spokesman, as usual, have been trying to distance him from what is happening in Rivers State. That is their job, and I wish them luck. But they have to understand, and the president has to understand, that the perception out there in the world, not merely in the nation, but out in the world, is that he bears a vicarious responsibility, at the very least, for what is happening in Rivers State. You take away a governor's plane under dubious circumstances. That plane has remained grounded for I don't know how many weeks now. Of course, we are dissociating the presidency from this act. The important thing is that a certain arm of government grounds a governor's carriage for one reason or the other. Now, even the council, the governing council, the court says, no, wait a minute, let's have this man's plane released. Until now, you pretend that nobody has spoken, nobody said anything. You're not even interested in seeing how one of your barons under a monarchical system, now one of your barons or dukes is able to function without his carriage. Now that kind of indifference creates an enabling ground for your followers, your officials, to take even further actions to humiliate or endanger that baron or that duke or what else, that knight.
Well, Wole Soyinka there, we're still going to hear more from him in the course of this program. Now, he was not the only one at that press conference. Also with him is Mr. Femi Falana, a senior advocate of Nigeria and human rights lawyer. He also spoke at the press conference, and he spoke in a similar vein as Professor Soyinka. This is what he said.
Under Section 92, subsection 2 of the Constitution, an elected Speaker of a House of Assembly cannot be removed without a resolution supported by 2/3 majority of the entire members. In the case of Port Harcourt, in the case of Rivers State, you needed 22 members of the House, because they have 32 members. But 22 of them are required by law, by the Constitution, to remove the Speaker. But the ruling party has already commended or congratulated the legally imposed Speaker, just to emphasize the culture of impunity in our country, the level of absurdity that is going on. Again, on vicarious liability of the presidency, because somebody addressed the press yesterday and said, oh, as usual, the president has no hand in it. This one. Just we were told when you were going to have the election of the governors, the president was in Ethiopia. You can just imagine the president must be out of the country when the constitution of our country is going to be breached at the highest level. What happened? We also told the president has no hand in the governor's election. Why are you dragging the president to this? But shortly thereafter, the president received an audience in the villa the man who scored 16 votes and granted the claim of the man who scored 19 votes. So don't be surprised if the illegally imposed speaker, purportedly elected by 5 legislators, is welcome in the villa, while, of course, the man recognized by the entire House, including the 5, will again be treated with contempt by the presidency.
Mr. Femi Falana speaking there. Now, what we're going to do on the program is to look at the entire sequence of events leading to all of this issue. And joining me on the program now is a panel of 2. Mr. Monday Ubani is the chairman, I should say, of the Ikeja branch of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA. Mr. Monday Ubani, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you, Deji.
I also have Dr. Chiman Naji. Before now, he used to be just Mr. Chiman Naji. Dr. Chiman Naji is a political affairs analyst and also a lawyer. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, gentlemen, let's start with the impeachment. There's a video I'm going to roll now for you to take a look at. You look at that video. When we come back, we're going to start from there. Let me get your reaction. It's actually how the impeachment process took place in Port Harcourt. That's the River State capital, right there in the State House of Assembly. Let us take a look at the video now.
The Speaker Pro Tempore of the River State Assembly, I want to move that the Speaker of the River State Assembly, Right Honorable Dana Magde, be impeached alongside other House officers because this House no longer has confidence in them. I so move.
Good morning, Speaker Pro Tempore. I, Michael Kuchukuchinda, second the motion as moved by my dear colleague, Honorable Martin Amendo. I so second.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, President and Rivers. Ladies and gentlemen, I think my own job here today is, our assignment is a very simple one. I've been elected as Speaker Pro Tempore to take over from the impeached Speaker, Right Honorable Amadu, and his House officers, and to elect a new one. And I think one thing constant in this life is change. And the House has deemed it necessary and have found it worthy to impeach the former Speaker and his officers for vote of no confidence. I therefore move that this House elect a new Speaker. Nominations.
Right on Speaker by the Civil Police, I on the Village I nominate Honorable Evans for our head.
Yes, Honorable Evans, DP, has been nominated. Any seconder?
I I second the motion as moved by Honorable Deji.
Any contrary opinion? Okay, for the purposes of what we are doing and we're in a democracy, I would want us to formally vote so that the world will know what we are doing and to know that we're doing the right thing, that because prior to this time we have been under the hand of a dictator, so I want us to vote by raising up our hands, and therefore they will know our new speaker. From what I've seen, the House have voted massively for Evans DP. Evans now stands as the new speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly. Thank you. I think I have finished my little assignment, and I would want the speaker to come and take his position, and subsequently we will elect the other officers of the House. Thank you, my people. So, Mr. Speaker, come on. So, I formally introduce to the House and to Rivers State, the new Speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly, Evans DP, representing Ogun constituency. Thank you. So I beg to take my leave. Like I said, subsequently we will have other House officers. Thank you.
Well, that's the drama there. That's how, according to those lawmakers, they impeached the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly. Let me just get your thoughts now. I'm going to begin with you, Mr. Monday Ubani. You've seen the video. Tell me what you think.
That is clearly bizarre. It's absurdity of the highest order. I have not seen this video before. As I was watching alongside with my colleague here, we were saying, what is going on? This is even in a banana republic. This has never ever happened. The man did not even use parliamentary language. Everything he used was very uncouth, uncivilized, and clearly bizarre.
Dr. Chima Naji.
Well, like Monday said, I was very, very surprised because seeing this for the first time, I couldn't put things together as to whether these were secondary school pupils trying to imitate what happens in a parliamentary session. Actually, this shows completely that if you have to kill a goat, you must do it according to the method. You don't go starting from the leg, you go for the neck. That's the procedure is very important in everything. So the Constitution is very clear. The rules of the House should also be very clear, even in the issue of forming quorum and all that. So for them to have purported to have impeached, this is not just removal. The constitutional word is impeachment, and there's a procedure. If it's just a question of removing, then you remove the thing. You can remove a cup from a table and throw it to wherever you want. But this is very bizarre. You know,
quite bizarre, because I've been covering politics for a long time. Even though we've had similar incidents in the past, I've never seen something like this.
Yes.
It's quite bizarre. But you know what? There's something I also want to let you see, and that's the picture, or I should say the image of what we have seen all through this week, and that's the big fight in the State House of Assembly right there on the floor of the House. Let me just take you through the sequence of events here. Now, shortly after that ceremony, that so-called impeachment ceremony we just saw now, the ceremony had not ended. As a matter of fact, should I say self-acclaimed speaker now, that man who says he was elected speaker was just about to give his inaugural speech when the other members, the 27 members who had earlier left, came back. And take a look at what happened. And when we come back, I want to get your reaction to that. Mr. Obani, I have to get your reaction on that video you just saw. Well, you saw what you saw immediately after the fight. Computers right there inside the chamber of the House of Assembly, all of them destroyed. Quite surprising, isn't it?
To me, I don't see any justification for the level of barbarism exhibited by that honorable member. Though we have not seen his own attack, because I understood that he was also attacked. But no matter what we're seeing in this video is too primitive, it's too barbaric.
The only thing is that I didn't expect this in a hallowed chamber of
hallowed, yeah, that's what they call it.
Parliament. If only, because I have always known that, however, I've always known that so many people that parade as honorable members or members of the legislature, or even people in government generally, are not really the best people that should be there. Some of them muzzled themselves into that place to legitimize their tendency to unleash violence and cover whatever that kind of conduct they may enact. So I wasn't really surprised, but I was surprised that it could happen in that place, considering the fact that the guy did not seem to be responding or maybe reacting or retaliating, even though I was told, I've not seen the video, that the gentleman that was doing the hitting was attacked before.
We're definitely going to get, you know,
if you look at the law, if you talk about acting in self-defense, it will be an afterthought if you did not do it at that material moment and you chose another time or another day to retaliate. Then that is a different kettle of fish.
There's a question I have to ask both of you now, very important and very quickly. Yes. When the, well, should I call him the illegitimate speaker now? The speaker who said he was actually elected to replace the original speaker. When he was marching into the floor of the House, we saw the sergeant at arms carry the mace. Of course, we've been told it's not the original mace, carry the mace for him. Now, that the sergeant at arms carried the mace for him, does that legitimize what they did? Because we've had some people come out to say, well, since the sergeant at arms was there carrying the mace, that it made the whole process legal and legitimate.
The issue is that you cannot bypass the constitution or the law of the land and then use another method to legitimize something that is purely illegal. The House, before they can even sit, you know, by way of forming quorum, I think it must be made up 11 members. And for impeachment of a speaker, I understand that the 22 members, that is 2/3 of the members of the House, you know, making up 33, we have to sit in order to impeach successfully a speaker. And so if you don't lay a solid foundation in legality in all the actions you are taking, for the fact that there is a sergeant in arm that is carrying a mace, whether fake or original, cannot in any way legitimize something that is illegal. So in the foundation of everything, the action is very critical. So if the law has said this is the procedure that must be adopted before something can be said to be legal, and you are doing something that is contrary to that act, it cannot be in any way legitimized by any other action contrary to the law. That is the position of the law. Who
they say does not make the monk. And the fact that the mace, if it actually was the legitimate mace, was brought in by the legitimate sergeant at arms, does not legitimize that particular act. Just in the same manner that defense minister who leads a coup against a duly constituted government does not constitute legitimacy of his own government just because he was at the apex of the commanding authority of the military. So whatever that happened at the floor that I saw, unless I am told that it was contrived video, then, I mean, there's nothing legitimate about it, because the quorum is fundamental, even in village meetings, not to talk about the one that is constitutional.
That's right.
Once quorum has been hammered into the constitution, it is unchangeable unless you amend the constitution. So the question of whether, even if they have 14 sergeant arms carrying maces, it does not make any difference. So it is not legitimate.
All right, I think we're going to take a short break here. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue with the sequence of events, because there's still a whole lot more to tell. There's still a whole lot more to see, and we're going to show you everything. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, you're watching DEJI360. I am Deji Bademosi, and what we've been doing on the program today is to look at the sequence of events leading up to that crisis we saw in the Rivers State House of Assembly during the week. Now, we showed you what actually took place earlier. We showed you the impeachment that took place. We also showed you the fight in the House of Assembly, as well as others. Now, shortly after that fight in the House of Assembly, right there on the floor of the House of Assembly, shortly after it, the pro-Amechi lawmakers, 27 of them, actually got together and sat in the House. Remember, the reason they said they sat was to take a supplementary the supplementary appropriation bill from the governor. As a matter of fact, the deputy governor was there to present the supplementary appropriation bill to the lawmakers. This is exactly what transpired. Take a look at this.
Set aside for okay. But before the House Committee of the we have the deputy governor has to leave us. So this guy will motion to allow the deputy governor and governor to
Well, the reason we just showed you that was just to let you see what actually happened in the House of Assembly shortly after that big fight you just saw not quite long ago. Dr. Naji, this would seem to be a reflection, or this would appear to be a real sitting of the House.
Certainly. You could see even at the gallery there appeared to be some press presence. And you could also the camera panning around, seeing or showing a number of
lawmakers,
other lawmakers, not the other contrived one where you had one or two persons speaking to themselves. So I think this was more of a sitting, even though that sitting was also strategic. Perhaps in a way of trying to douse.
Okay, you believe it was strategic?
It was strategic. It was also to kind of douse the tension that had taken place some hours or minutes earlier. So the deputy governor's presence, if that was the day they had to...
We were told he went there to present their...
The essence of presenting that was for the House that had to have that strategic sitting to have business for the day. Legitimate business for the day. So I don't see anything wrong in that. It is the House of Assembly, it is their duty. If the goat has a pot of water, if he doesn't drink it in the morning, it will still drink it in the evening. It is water, so it has to take it when it so desires.
Let me ask you, I'd ask you, Mr. Monde Ubani, to please react to that picture. I mean, this seems to be a proper sit-in, so to speak.
Yeah, so to speak. And you also saw the members of the public, apart from the press, the cameraman was roving around to show us the proceeding. Actually, the House reconvened for this purpose before the mayhem, before the thugs, that invaded the House in the early morning to disperse them. They were supposed to sit to consider this appropriation amendment bill, and the deputy governor was due to make that presentation. It was when they were driven out by the thugs and the 5 anti-Amechi group that they had to invite. They went to the State House, and then informed the governor. The governor was also there. But he left immediately after restoring order. So the security men from the government house came and took absolute control of that house at that point in time. That's why they even sat in the first place, because there was no peace. There was violence all over the place.
And security was very crucial.
Yeah, very crucial for them.
We also saw that the lawmakers, I mean, the 5 lawmakers came with their own security men.
Yes.
And at some point, we saw a kind of confrontation now between the security men of these other guys and the security men of they just got involved in
that is actually what they descended into the arena. So that is actually what happened. Even when that proceeding you watched that was going on, there was people shouting outside.
We're going to get that.
Yes, they were all shouting and screaming, making noise, even making the environment very unconducive for parliamentary proceedings. So it wasn't a very beautiful sight. But the point is that the House sat.
Now, because you talked about what was happening outside while that hearing or while that sitting was going on.
That's right.
Let's just go over to that now. And while the sitting was going on, quite a lot of things was happening outside. Heavy event. As a matter of fact, the speaker, or the man who says he was elected speaker, actually tried to force his way into the House to disrupt that sitting. But the members, of course, didn't know what was going on. Or even if they knew, they probably ignored or pretended they didn't know it was going on. So this man, of course, you can see right here, is central to all of this. And let's take a look at what was happening outside when that sitting by the pro-Amechi lawmakers was going on.
If you intact, we're all interested. Talk less.
Me, I will die for peace.
God will bless you. Anyway, you do. I'm going to tell you that.
Why must he supervise the beating of my colleagues? He moved into the chamber.
Hold on, don't you know me? Roma, come on. Roma, come on. Speak to him.
Anthony.
But Roma, come on.
Come. Don't you know me? About come, may they come. Somebody come and enter. We enter with him.
No problem.
Speak to him.
No, talk first.
No, we enter to him.
Must he be
Manaya.
Well, you just saw Honorable Evans, BP, that's his name, and you saw what he did to the camera there. He's actually the one who says he is the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly. As a matter of fact, he still insists that he was properly elected. Let me go back to you, my panel now. I'll start with you, Dr. Naji. Well, really short. Let me just get your reaction.
Deji, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? I know that we have gone so low, but I didn't know that we were actually drilling the soil to enter. Because this is very, very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate and very sad, because it simply shows that you don't have the right people in that assembly. You may have a sprinkle of decent people, but if for any reason anybody wanted to change the leadership of the House, and even by any legitimate means this guy was thrown up as the Speaker, then you will see that that House will be in serious topsy-turvydom, because he has not shown any degree of decency. He's gutter in his language. His mannerism is anything but decent and civilized. He said he will die.
Yeah, that's what he said.
He will die for what? I mean, it is very, very sad. I just want to stop here. It is very, very sad, very unfortunate. And this is the culmination of the bad precedents that have been sown all over the years, where the right people are not allowed to come into the political system because of the use of violence, and maybe people who think that they have made money through certain means, they throw money to exclude those people who have actually been prepared for governance by both their training and the experience.
Mr. Bani, let me get your reaction to that. We also saw in that video that some members, we saw policemen getting involved. You saw the SSS man, that's the State Security Service personnel there, engaging in some kind of, should I say, confrontation now with a member of the police force. I should say that policeman is actually, we understand he came with Honorable Evans BB. He's one of the security personnel for Evans BB.
Deji, this is
BP, I should say.
Yeah, this is very embarrassing. You heard him chant even the court language, when he was signaling to his boys, to continue the disorderliness that was going on there.
Let's not also forget that a sitting was actually going on at this time.
Yeah, we know now. We said it before that, they were even hearing shouting while the proceedings were going on. This is very disorderly. And even when the deputy governor called him
and milling around,
and appealed to him, you could see that he came with these talks. And this is clearly, justify what pro-Amechi lawmakers were saying, that these guys came with a mission. They came with a mission to attack and destroy the proceedings of the House that particular day. And this is actually, we didn't see this in the national television, and I'm seeing this for the first time.
Yes.
This is clearly embarrassing. Really? This man cannot be the Speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly.
By any legitimate
he cannot. He doesn't have the character, he doesn't have the charisma, he doesn't have the conduct, doesn't have the mannerism. He's clearly a thug. Honestly, I'm sorry to say this. And his approach, in this particular thing we have watched, even hitting the camera shows that this man is clearly not a civilized person. And he has no reason whatsoever being in that house, let alone being thrown up as a Speaker.
Now, shortly after that incident, the members who were meeting, that's the pro-Amechi lawmakers who were sitting in the House, they concluded the event, they left, something else happened. Honorable Charles BP actually gained entrance into the chamber. Just take a look at this. Look at what happened next.
Distinguished members at the gallery, I thank you for electing me this day as the new Speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly. That I am calling on the EFCC to come and audit the Rivers State House of Assembly account. And accordingly, 15 members has been suspended. The names will be given to you later. I thank my honorable colleagues and promise to work effectively with you, and that new hope in Rivers State will be restored. Leader of the House, as the #1 guinea pig, has been suspended. So I want you to join me to move Rivers State forward. The old ESCO has been impeached. New government has been restored, and this new government will effectively work with all the members and give new hope to Rivers State. Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Speaker shall rise. Thank you very much.
Well, this is really fun. I want to get your reaction.
Yes.
That's really funny. First of all, we had the speaker there saying, or the so-called speaker now saying that the guinea pig. And he also said something like, at some point, he didn't even know what to say. They were telling him that the other members, that 15 had been suspended. But we also heard him say something, that he was calling on the EFCC to come and investigate.
Yes.
Let me get your reaction, Mr. Obani, to all of this.
This is another Idi Amin in the house. You know, he looks like Idi Amin even by way of looking, and by his pronouncement, most of the things he said, you know, sounds military, as if a military government has taken over, and then the military doesn't even understand how to use English properly. I think it is very proper at this point, you know, to really say that this the proceeding that took place in Rivers State House of Assembly was really embarrassing. You know, they are trivializing the proceedings of the House, and this is not very admirable. This is not what we envisage for Nigeria. We must condemn this, and we are saying that this manner of this kind of approach to resolving issue cannot be acceptable in a civilized community. We don't want this, and this should be the last time this should happen in this country. And why we must, you know, condemn this, we must also say that the government at the center must also condemn this. I've heard the president try to exonerate himself from all this crisis, and the next statement was asking every party in this crisis to follow constitutionalism. But I think a pronouncement as to the illegality and to the absurdity of what took place in Rivers must be made by the presidency. I heard the president condemn what happened in Egypt and all that, but I didn't hear him condemn what happened in Rivers State in Nigeria, in his own country. So it is very, very absurd. I think this kind of thing should not repeat itself anywhere. I am totally sure that this will be the last that Nigerians will witness this absurdity. It is the highest level of absurdity and shouldn't be allowed to stand.
Well, if I know our politics very well, I know this is not going to be the last. So
It
what
will
do you think?
happen
What do you think, Dr. Naji? You think this is going to be the last? And your take on what you saw?
It cannot be. In fact, since this one got us to this level, we should expect something much lower. That's the way we go in this country. Looking at this last video, perhaps to ice the cake of what happened, that was perhaps what the purported newly
elected
speaker was trying to do. After all the display outside, he came to ice the cake since the other guys were able to sit. So he too will come in to sit. I think even if somebody was actually directing him, and you are supposed to be an actor, can't you put some intelligence in the script? There's a script that could be written, and you find it will not suit your personality and perception. You make a personal input, either to embellish it or perhaps to make the script a little obscure in that area that will have portrayed you negatively. I don't think he has given a good account of himself. in spite of the fact that it was an inglorious mission. But in an inglorious mission, there could be some salvage value if you did it with some panache, you know. There's nothing really to pick in this. But in terms of whether it's going to happen again, it will happen and happen, because most of the things that happen in Nigeria don't happen by happenstance or happenstance. They are contrived. And most of the contrivances are at the highest level of authority, or at least some authority. Right. And that is what is going on, because we say, if your father sends you to steal, and you know you have the backing of your father, you will use leg and scatter the door. That is a simple fact. If you see the temerity and the impunity with which people act when they are unleashing violence, especially when it comes to politics, you will know that somebody is somewhere. The bird doesn't dance anyhow. Something plays the music in the bush. So the truth of the matter is that some people are fingering the presidency. And I am not quick to attribute it to any level, but I know that something is happening somewhere.
I'm going to pause you there. There's something else I want us to take a look at. I was going to show you what the actual speaker, the real speaker, let me put it this way, said immediately after, in the aftermath of that event, but we're going to skip that now. Let's just go to that man. The man, he's called Chidi Lloyd. That's the man who was wielding the mace and using the mace, if you remember now, the mace to beat one of the lawmakers or one of his colleagues when they got into the House and met the 5 sitting. His name is Chidi Lloyd, and he's the majority leader of the Rivers State House of Assembly. I want us to take a listen to what he said, because what he said, we're going to connect with what should I say the self-acclaimed speaker now would be saying, or the purported speaker. Let's take a listen to Chidi Lloyd and hear what he had to say about what happened, what actually happened.
We all arrived for sitting. No sooner the speaker came in, the usual camaraderie between colleagues started, some haven't seen themselves since this whole empire started. I was on my seat as the House leader. I greeted my friend and brother Evans Bebe, and his response was an uppercut. You can see my face here. Then, sporadically he was throwing punches at me, but in all that I did not respond. So when the speaker, other members held him, it was at that point he went and broke the tripod that the camera stands on. He came back to me and flogged me freely with it, which gave rise to the blood stains on my body. And he also attacked Honorable Azubike Njoko and the speaker.
Well, you just heard the account of the majority leader of the Rivers State House of Assembly. He was the one we saw in that video who was actually using the mace to attack one of his colleagues. Now, you heard his account. Let us hear this video. The next video we're going to show you, we actually got from Channels Television. It clearly showed the speaker. You need to be very attentive. You need to listen to it attentively. Showed the speaker trying to describe to his friends and colleagues outside the State House of Assembly what exactly transpired on the floor of the House when they met. Take a listen to him.
I went in, I took everything. When I got the direction, Chidi Lloyd. I did something that village of the I leave him, I go, as I go out, stop the recording.
Let me get your reaction, Dr. Naji. This is quite, and that's the video we did not see. That's the video, what the speaker, what that Honorable Evans BP was trying to describe there. We do not have that video, but that is exactly what happened earlier. That's exactly what precipitated that attack we saw in on the floor of the House.
Which was what one of the honorable members was also saying, that he greeted somebody and the person,
yeah, and it was Evans BP. That's
yes.
this, yeah.
So for him to have made that statement himself in a more relaxed atmosphere, perhaps giving himself kudos for a job well done, showed that he probably may have been the instigator of all that, at least the physical things that started happening. It's unfortunate that even if you start examining the whole thing legally, you begin to look at the proportion of force, self-defense and things like that. But something made pim before you had boom. So if you have to look at how the whole thing started, because if a small thing was dropped and started snowballing, the proportionality theory may no longer be so much the issue in the public domain. That is an issue of legalism. But no matter how small the cost may have been, being political, it had the capacity of being blown out of proportion, especially by jobbers, because there's so much hunger in the land, and so many people want to show each group, that depending on the one they decided to camp with, that they are actually they were in the front of the entire melee. So I think for that man to now come back in that particular forum to begin to
describe,
describe in a pontification of his act, it simply showed that the whole thing was premeditated.
Let me get your reaction, Mr. Albani.
Yeah, clearly I agree with him. It was a premeditated action. The House was to reconvene on that day, and they planned how to attack. And then they also planned how to impeach the Speaker. And after impeaching the Speaker, the next target is the governor. And they will also, by the 5 members, they will also,
and I was going to ask you, do you think this whole thing was just
targeting at the government?
Was just about the Speaker, or
no, it's about the
target is the governor?
No, the target is the governor. You could hear him say that his anger is that the governor, a whole governor came to the House and then supervised the beating of a member of the House. You could see him say that. And so the target is actually the governor. It was an action that was planned, but as Dr. Naji has rightly pointed out, there was no intelligence in execution of this plan. There is no intelligence whatsoever. They give themselves away. You could see him boast that he was the first person to initiate the attack, that he hit Chidi Lloyd and then hit another member. And that is a self-confessional statement, and that is very incriminating. Yes. And so if police also, who say they're investigating this matter, is doing this, they must take all this into account and into consideration in arriving as to who is actually, guilty in the whole imbroglio. And so that we apportion blame, and then those who are supposed to be prosecuted ought to be prosecuted in this. And I'm looking forward to seeing certain action being taken by the security agencies, concerning what took place in the Rivers State House of Assembly.
And I have to ask you this very quick question now. Yes. Would you be surprised if at the end of the day, say by next week now, we see these 5 lawmakers regroup and say they were serving impeachment process to the governor?
Well, as Naji has said before, nothing surprises me any longer in this country. It's a country that anything can happen. Everything is almost possible here, even illegality, even absurdity, even bizarre things. So when there are people who are backing you, and as I said earlier, if there is no condemnation by the highest quarter in this country, so what do you expect? Impunity we must exercise in this nation. And if Nigeria must be on the path to progress and development, everyone must rise up and condemn impunity and ensure that their impunity should not be allowed at any point in time. So what is going on is that these guys are doing this, with the backing from somewhere. There is a drummer that is beating this drum from the bush, and the dancers are only, actors, doing the beating. But the point is, we must condemn this, and we must not allow these people to go beyond this level.
And of course, we are the spectators.
Yeah, we are the spectators. If we allow them to regroup and say they want to impeach the governor, and that will be the day that this country will be on the verge to collapse. I am saying it here with every amount of seriousness. If they do, go ahead after all the condemnation of this, and when many people have gotten so angry about this, and they go ahead to do this, then I think that this will be the end of this our democracy.
Deji, I want to add here that I wouldn't want to be in a haste to attribute what is happening in Rivers State to Jonathan. Professor Wole Soyinka used the word vicarious liability. Okay, to that extent, in law, we know that if you are
that's what he said.
If you are an employer of somebody who has gone to do something that is even outside what you advise him to do, you will be held responsible. To To that extent, fine. But it behoves the presidency and even the president to make sure that it comes out clean by the right action or reaction to what is happening or what has happened to clean itself.
Do you think that the reaction we've gotten from the president so far, because we had Ruben Abati, his spokesperson, come out to say, well, the president is not involved. He actually issued a statement. You think that statement was enough?
Deji, I have, in many fora, I have said that many of the president's men are not doing a wonderful job. You see, when you want to respond to certain things, you have to think through the communication you are giving out. You gauge the mood. Yes, it is okay to say that the presidency was not involved and all that, but they need to do more. Because some people who don't like the president could even have exacerbated what has happened, what happened in Rivers State, to give the president, especially given the 2015 election project. You understand? So the duty, therefore, is on the presidency and the president to do more to exorcise itself of the ghost of perhaps the attribution of what is happening in Rivers State. So the duty is so much on the presidency to say, enough of this impunity. Even the president himself suffered a lot of what do I call it now? Maltreatment, that brought even the doctrine of necessity, because to every reasoning person, you wouldn't imagine that Nigeria would have been brought to that level where what is written expressly will be contested. But as God pleased, it pleased God, we were able to go through that. And the president on his own said, never again will it, under his own watch, happen to anybody, including his own vice president. So this particular instance, I'm not taking any position. I'm not interested in whether it is Amaechi that is governor or, because anybody could be there. The principle is that when you are in position of authority, you must follow the rule of law. Even if I say you are a bad man, before I kill you, I must follow the due process. And if I have to be so stupid, I must therefore do it clinically, so that people will be clapping that, after all, I'm a very nice man to have finally killed you the way I did it. That means there's more being intelligent. But this one is so gutter, is so depraved, is so warped. And the people that have been chosen to do this job by whoever who did this, I mean, that person
didn't choose well.
Himself lacks content. And even the context in which it is done was bad.
I have to thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the program. Thank you very much for your wonderful contributions. Let's just hope we don't see this again, even though I have that gut feeling that we're still going to see it.
It will happen again.
It will happen again. That's my belief. This is the lowest we can go.
Let's just hope we don't see it again. Mr. Monday Ubani, Chairman, Nigerian Bar Association, Ikeja Branch, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you, Deji.
And Dr. Chiman Naji. I'm not so used to saying doctor anyway. Thank you very much.
You don't call me Chiman Naji. Don't forget about that.
Thank you very much for coming on the program. Well, now, Professor Wole Soyinka, the Nobel Laureate, did not just stop at accusing the president or the presidency of being involved in the Rivers State crisis. He also took a swipe at the wife of the president. Do not forget, the president's wife comes from Rivers State. And in Professor Soyinka's view, the president's wife has a hand in what is going on in that state at the moment. Take a listen to what he said.
For me, the siege of Port Harcourt for 11 days with full security apparatus indicates that there's something beyond even that madam herself. My last word to her is that just be a lady first before being a first lady. In fact, you cannot be a first lady without being a lady. And that's the only advice I have for her. Because now it is evident that she's getting away with murder in this country only because she has the backing of her husband. And that she's being used, in my view, politically. When things get to a stage where an unelected person, a mere domestic appendage of power, can seize control of a place for 11 days, and as a result of her presence, the governor of that state is told by a policeman, you cannot pass here because the queen is there. I mean, what sort of jungle are we living in? So again, there is at the very least a vicarious responsibility that must be laid at the door of President Jonathan. And above all, I'm calling on the president, now openly, publicly, please curb the excesses of your wife. You know, she's a wife, she's an unconstitutional being. She should not be empowered to such an extent that she's flouting the prerogatives, the rights, and the responsibilities of the governor of any state, be this Lagos, Oyo State, Rivers, or wherever. Too much is too much. The papers have been crying. I read Youth Speak the other day on one of the pages of the papers, exactly the same thing. What is it? Is she the first lady we've had in this nation? The vulgarity has really become intolerable.
We'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll be talking to a former lawmaker to get his views on all of this. Stay with us. Welcome back, and we're now being joined on the program by Senator Olorunniyi Mamora, who used to be the former deputy Senate minority leader. Of course, he's no longer a senator, but they say once a senator, always a senator. Senator Olorunniyi Mamora, thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Now, just before we start this discussion, there's a video I want you to take a look at. You, apart from being a former senator, you used to be the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly. So I want you to take a look at this video, and when we come back, let me get your reaction. Let us take a look at this video now.
Good morning. I think both talents start by short prayers. Emotion that pray for us.
Almighty God, the maker of heaven and earth, we rest this moment unto your throne of grace. We ask that all we're going to do today will be to your own glory in the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen. Good morning, my colleagues.
Good morning.
Clark. I always want to be on the impeachment of the Speaker and the House officers.
The Speaker pro tempore of the Rivers State House of Assembly, I want to move that the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Dana Magre, be impeached alongside other House officers because this House no longer has confidence in them. I so move.
Who's the second thing?
Morning, Speaker pro tempore. I, Michael Kuchukuchinda, second the motion as moved by my dear colleague, Honorable Martin Amendo. I so second.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, President and Rivers. Ladies and gentlemen, I think my own job here today is, our assignment is a very simple one. I've been elected as leader pro tempore to take over from the impeached Speaker, Right Honorable Amadu, and his House officers, and to elect a new one. And I think one thing constant in this life is change. And the House has deemed it necessary and have found it worthy to impeach the former Speaker and his officers for vote of no confidence. I therefore move that this House elect a new Speaker. Nominations.
Right on Speaker by the Civil Police, I nominate Honorable Rivers Falana.
Yes, Honorable Evans BP has been nominated. Any seconder?
I second the motion as moved by Honorable Deji.
Any contrary opinion? Okay, for the purposes of what we are doing, and we're in a democracy. I would want us to formally vote so that the world will know what we are doing and to know that we're doing the right thing, that because prior to this time we have been under the hand of a dictator, so I want us to vote by raising up our hands, then therefore they will know our new speaker. From what I've seen, the House has voted massively for Evans Bibi. Evans now stands as the new Speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly. Thank you. I think I have finished my little assignment, and I would want the Speaker to come and take his position, and subsequently we will elect the other officers of the House. Thank you, my people. So, Mr. Speaker, come on. May I formally introduce to the House and to Rivers People the new Speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly, Evans Bibi, representing Ogun constituency. Thank you. So I beg to take my leave. Like I said, subsequently we will have other House officers. Thank you.
Well, you just saw the video. Quite interesting. Tell me, you used to be the Speaker of a State House of Assembly here in Lagos. Is that the way an impeachment of a Speaker is usually conducted?
Deji, look, even kindergarten school pupils will not do what we saw. I mean, that was a complete mockery of parliamentary process, complete mockery of parliamentary procedure. And I mean, it wasn't anything more than jesters at work. I think they just decided to, it's unfortunate because it's like the House of Assembly that's supposed to be, the hallowed chambers, as it's referred to, has been, converted, as it were, to the theater of the absurd.
For you, how shocking is this?
Seriously.
5 members?
Seriously.
Even though we've been told there are 5.
We just saw even 2.
2, yeah.
We never saw even the 5 members. We just saw 2. For all I care, the 2 that we could not even confirm whether they were members of that house or not, and whatever voices we were hearing at the background might as well be, the voices of charlatans and, thugs or whatever have been recruited to be part. And that was, I mean, I want to believe that deliberately the camera was not focused on, the entire house.
And then we heard the man who calls himself Speaker pro tempore, for instance, saying that the new speaker had been elected massively, that the voting was...
You know what he said initially was that having impeached...
Even when the process had not been carried out.
So it really is, we laugh, it's unfortunate.
Now, under what circumstance can 5 lawmakers, for instance, in a House of 32, under what circumstance now can 5 come together to impeach the Speaker of a 32-member House of Assembly?
Under no circumstance. Under absolutely, I repeat, no circumstance. Because to start with, the Constitution is clear, under Section 92 or thereabout, that the Speaker shall vacate his seat if is removed by a vote of 2/3 majority. It's simple. 2/3 majority. That's what the Constitution says. Now, and even for the business of the House to even take place, the quorum is even 1/3. 5 is not even 1/3 of 32 to start with. But that is even to transact a business. But Constitution is clear, under Section 92 that I mentioned, that to remove, you need 2/3 majority of all the members present. All the members of the House, not all the members present, all the members of the House. It's a 32-member House and 2/3. So it's 5, the 2/3 of 32. So it's just
there's something else. There's another video I want you to take a look at. This is a video shortly after the so-called new speaker was elected. He came back because there was a problem in between, but he came back now to give his sort of inaugural address. I want you to take a look at that inaugural address of the so-called speaker, and when we come back, let me get your reaction. Let us take a look at the inaugural address now of, well, I don't know what to call him, but just let's take a look at that inaugural address.
Distinguished members at the gallery, I thank you for electing me this day as the new Speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly. That I am calling on the EFCC to come and audit the Rivers State House of Assembly account. And accordingly, 15 members has been suspended. The names will be given to you later. I thank my honorable colleagues and promise to work effectively with you, and that new hope in Rivers State will be restored. Leader of the House, as the #1 guinea pig, has been suspended. So I want you to join me to move Rivers State forward. The old ESCO has been impeached. The new government has been restored, and this new government will effectively work with all the members and give new hope to Rivers State. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker shall rise. Thank you very much.
Tell me, Senator Mamara, what do you make of that? I mean, first of all, we heard him saying distinguished members at the gallery. I want to find out from you, are lawmakers supposed to be at the gallery or on the floor?
Deji, look. Is it what we just saying is Act 1, Scene 2. Act 1, Scene 2 of a completely absurd situation. I've told you that that even kindergarten pupils, pupils of kindergarten school will not even do this.
He went on to say he was suspending 15 members.
How can, if he has the man, I cannot. There's no way I can call him because that, if I even feel sad to, I don't know how I can call him even a member. Not less of referring to him as a speaker, because totally, he doesn't even know. He's totally naive, totally ignorant of parliamentary
and process. And he's been in that house for a while.
Oh yes. So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we are seeing this in this country.
But are you surprised that shortly after that incident, shortly after all this drama, the party, the PDP, recognized him as a speaker, the party in the state?
Well, again, that's also a thing of shame. We saw a show of shame, then being backed up by, of course, those are the masters behind the scene, remote controlling those activities. But of course, you see, I'm not bothered in any way in terms of, the legality, in terms of the drama, in terms of, because it cannot stand. It cannot stand.
Because part of the reason is this. I mean, it would appear these guys know what they're doing, and some of them would say, well, we have seen this in the past anyway in this country. It's not the first time. No. So it's like the assumption for them would be like, no problem. If you're not happy, you can go to court. So it's like they're putting the other guys, I mean, the 26 or 27 lawmakers who are recognized by the Constitution, putting them on the defensive, and they're basically going to say, go to court if they are provided with security.
Look, they can't go to court, and they won't go to court.
And they shouldn't go.
They shouldn't go to court. They can't, they won't, and they shouldn't. Is it because, look, when you look at the whole thing, you're talking of a situation where 27 members are still standing. And to let you know that it cannot stand, shortly thereafter, the House, the proper House, convened, where 27 members and the Speaker were there. It's unfortunate that, not your station, that some of the television stations are referring to this as a factional speaker. That is the kind of thing. I condemn.
So
such.
this is nothing about.
I condemn in the harshest term possible any media house, whether print or electronic, referring to this jester as a factional speaker, because nothing, as far as I'm concerned, took place. There, at best, there was a drama of the absurd, which could not stand, cannot stand, and will never stand. Immediately after, the real members came in.
Sure.
27 of them, they sat. And the speaker, the speaker that we know, Otema Bala, was there to preside. So, let's see how they're going to sit in that place. These charlatans. Let us see how they're going to sit. They cannot, because they have their other colleagues, 27 in number, in a great majority that will take over, and of course they have taken over, and they sat on that same day. So I'm not bothered. But again, the fact that it happened, something similar happened in the past because of federal power or federal might, it calls for concern.
And let me just ask you, would you be shocked, for instance, if, as some people have raised the concern, if, say, tomorrow, the presidency or the federal government decides to give some kind of security backing now to these five, and because by giving them security backing, that would basically translate to recognition, and then deny the other group, the 27,
yes,
security backing for them to sit.
I agree with you, but I would not want to preempt myself. I would want to see. I will want to see that happen, if at all it will ever happen. I will want to see it, because look, this is too glaring. It's too glaring. So I don't know how it's going to. Let's wait and see. My attitude is wait and see.
Well,
but it's totally condemnable.
Totally condemnable.
Yes.
If you were speaking to these lawmakers now, what exactly? I mean, the five of them. What exactly would you be telling them?
That they should bury their heads in shame. And they're not fit and proper to be called honorable members. They are not, because nothing honorable in what they displayed.
Thank you very much for watching, and as we leave you with the soundbite of Professor Wole Soyinka, what he had to say about the Commissioner of Police in Rivers State, actually calling for the removal of the Commissioner of Police, saying if that is not done, then something else drastic could happen to the governor. We'll see you next time.
When the tear gas is thrown in, the next one may be a smoke bomb. And in confusion, where nobody sees anything and so on, an accident can happen. And we get back to the case of the unknown soldier, or in this case, maybe more likely, unknown policeman. Because not since the days of Adewusi, not since the notorious days of Adewusi, who constituted himself virtually the spokesman of the ruling party at the time, who sat on television and made pronouncements, declarations, defiant, insolent declarations. This Inspector General Adewusi, or whatever his rank was at the time, not since that period have we had a policeman like Umbu taking the stage, contradicting the governor in the most disrespectful way, as if he's not being paid from the coffers of this nation. We have a political policeman there. Just from his own mouth. It's not a question of what he did or what he didn't do. I have read his statements. You have a political policeman. And the governor has said, I want this man out. I'm the chief security officer. But no, he's still there. Is anybody surprised then that tear gas will be accidentally thrown into the governor's territory? So what are we waiting for? As I said, are we waiting now for a smoke bomb to be thrown there, and in the general darkness to find that we have lost a governor?